I am coming at you today. Is that better? With a Veve Omi update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If not, welcome back. I love y'all. This is a space that I am doing a recording for with Laura Rod. Laura Rod is on the council of the Board 8 Yacht Club, so this is going to be pretty interesting. She's got about 44,000 followers over on the Twitter, so I figured that that's a pretty good amount, and you also have somebody that is not Veve native. It's not like a Veve native got that position. It's somebody that was already on the council and then happened to find Veve, and she had mentioned the other day, hey, can somebody from Veve go and do a space? And shout out to Wendy Stibalis, who said, like, okay, well, she put this group together with me, Kyle, Willson, DeLargo, and then Laura, and then was also saying, like, hey, we could just do a space for you if you want. And then she was like, okay, cool, let's do a space. We are thankfully being able to do it right meow. Also, I'm going to ask everyone to smash the like button before we get started. The space starts in about 2 minutes. That'd be super great. Yeah, let's take a look-see over at the Twitter. And this is just for people, obviously, who I just posted this on Facebook before. If you don't have Twitter, because it is a Twitter space, so I don't expect a ton of people here, but we'll be recording it. We'll be doing it in T-minus, I don't know, 90 seconds. So let's shout out to her for saying, like, the Miami Ape Space Web3 Veve official and more. Some of you might not be familiar yet with Veve or be longtime collectors. ... I'm excited to welcome the real Randy Chavez, DeLargo, and Tiger Willson from the Veve community. Come hang out, ask questions, and learn. This has been viewed about 2,800 times, has 4 quote tweets, 9 retweets, 28 likes. Oh, wow, we got a couple people.
And then building our collection up. And I'm a long-term holder, I can't sell. And I know I have looser fingers. And I'm a long-term holder, I can't sell. And I know I have looser fingers on physical goods, what are you going to say? Yeah. You haven't sold an NFT, right? No, so he hasn't sold in it. Well, to buy back, but to buy back in, that doesn't. Well, to consolidate the blue chips. Yeah. So you're stepping your collection up. That's different. That's different. That was another lesson we learned along the way. Yeah.
So that's really cool. So there'd be a bunch of people that are talking about it, and let's go. It's awesome. I'll be in. When Supergirl says, "Let's freaking go," some guy named Captain Fuego says, I have a huge bag of Omi somewhere and curious it'll ever be worth anything. Oh, I'll be like, you are going to be so heckin' excited. You are going to be so heckin' excited. I mean, obviously not worth much right meow, but it will be in the future. We'll take a look and all right, she should be the space. All right, space should be up right now. So I'm going to join the space. Start listening. I am a listener. And then I will do the request thing and see where she's at. Oh, all right, we got some questions here. Omar Casado says, hey, Randy and Dashi. Oh, why, hello, Omar. Oh, wow, there'd be a lot of people here now. Omar says, I already smashed that like button. Thank you. Energy, what up? Just says, how many Board 8 Yacht Club peeps? In here, I am now a speaker. I don't know. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4. About 32 people so far. Just started about uno minuto ago. So we'll take a look. See, I think DeLargo's here. I thought he was going to come in a little later. Kyle Willson here. He's a speaker. We got Omi One Kenobi. We got DeLargo that'll be speaking. We got Dubes. We got Wilfredo Wi-Fi. Who's Wilfredo Wi-Fi? Anyone that comes in with a check mark.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Okay. Hi.
GM, everybody. Welcome to the Miami Ape Space, Web3, the Veve community. And today I'm so excited. I was like, this is a conversation that I've been wanting to have for a little bit. So I'm glad that we got connected, and I want to welcome everybody to the space. I wasn't sure if you could hear the music. I was trying to play it on my computer as well, and then I couldn't hear it. So I'm sorry if it was just silence. I'm glad that everyone is here. If you could please go ahead and retweet the room, I would really appreciate it. And with that, if we
I
could
think
do
I
some
did
quick
already, right?
intros. I usually host every Monday and every Wednesday my regular spaces, and then I like to open different community spaces with topics that are relevant or educational at different times in order to get more a different, time zone bridge, and that we don't just stick to a certain time a week. So thank you so much. And with that, I might welcome Randy, DeLargo, and Kyle.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Yeah, cool. Ready to kick it off. How's it going?
Going great. I would love to start with some intros. Perhaps, some people already know you guys and are familiar with who you are, but I'm sure you're seeing a lot of new faces. So let's get some intros going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and kick it off here. I'm Kyle Willson. I've been in the crypto space pretty much since 2017. Knew about Bitcoin before that, but really dug in deep around then. Fast forward till, I guess, the NFT boom a couple years ago. Really saw a lot of potential in Veve early on. At the time, there's less than 5,000 users in the app, and very early days, and latched hold of Veve and kind of been in the community ever since then. And I'm also a content creator, and I have previously worked for Alluvium, which is one of the AAA games in the NFT space, as well as working for Myriad Blockchain Layer 2 solution previously as well. And that's pretty much sums it up for me, and I'll pass it off.
DeLargo, you want to speak? Hey guys, I'm Randy Chavez. I was I did high risk lending for a few years. I had a successful business there. Put a lot of funds into people that had 500 and 600 credit. So I really know some businesses that are that are really good. That'll definitely pay back. I know what's undervalued. I did the same thing with Tesla. Did the same thing with Pokemon cards, and decided to sell everything I had for Veve's native token called Omi. At first, I wasn't really too interested in the NFTs, but then, me being a collector at heart, some of them are really cool, some of them are really fun. So spent a little more than I would have liked on the digital collectibles, but the bag is mostly an Omi. Put in about $500,000, and still dollar cost average.
I love how you casually just said $500,000, but okay, we'll go back to that.
Cool. For me, I'm a content creator for the Latin community. I discovered Veve almost like 3 years ago, and I liked a lot Veve because Veve makes it so easy.
It's on Spaces, Kolja.
Are not
Twitter Spaces.
That into Web3. So I fell in love with the application, the platform, the founders, and I went into the rabbit hole of what is an NFT, collecting, and Web3, but all of that because of the origin of discovering the app, because it made me very easy, that onboarding, no wallets, no seed phrases, it was so easy. So I started making content, and here I am. And Laura, by the way, Laura. Last year, I entered to your community, the Web3 Latinos space, and I think this is the first time we are in a space together. So nice to meet you.
That's so cute.
I want to thank you for that community, because to be honest, that helped me to grow a lot. Sometimes I post some videos there, some threads there, and that is the place I meet you. So glad to be here.
Thank you for joining, and I'm very glad that we're having a conversation now, and how funny that is in English. So good to hear. I also host spaces in Spanish every Monday, so that's where you probably listen to my Spanish spaces. But I also have the community Latinas in Web3, and we're around 2,500 people, and I've done some IRL events as well, so I could talk a little bit more about that later on. Good but stuff. I'm just glad to have this conversation. It's funny how sometimes topics could come when a community is having some sort of struggle, right? And I wanted to just kind of touch base into what that was. One of my friends mentioned to me, they're like, "Oh, have you ever collected in Veve?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have. What happened?" And they're like, "Oh no, something happened, and now the payouts provider, you can't cash out or some sort of drama, right? And immediately what I thought is like, who do I know from that community that could really tell us what happened? But most importantly, who could come up and share all the good things that they have been working on for the last year. I don't like to just pick up at a random news and sensationalize it and say like, oh wow, everything is going zero or what is happening instead of really having a different perspective and saying, hey, what has been going on for the longest time? How is this community strong? How is this community adding value? And then what happened that now is getting some people's attention? And so my goal for today, it's really just to amplify a little bit more about what the digital collectibles that have been going on for, I want to say, almost 2 years, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, and the community that has sprung up because of that, right? And you mentioned some of the things that is very easy to collect and very friendly, and you don't have to worry about all these things that in Web3 we see day in and day out. But I want to hear from all of you. So whoever wants to take it away to do like a quick intro into what is Veve.
I can start if you don't mind, guys. Go. I made a video and a script about this week. Like since I joined Veve, like there's always some kind of drama. Like I think that the community is very passionate and the product is so good. So that is why like people want everything fast, even though that the product is already here and the NFTs are here and the brands are here. So the video I made was like, the founders have this vision. Like the founders' job is to make that vision like a reality. And that vision is not that we collect all these NFTs and we become rich. It's not about that. It's about that Veve is about making the collecting experience, that activity into the digital space using NFTs and blockchain technology. It's all about that. Like, I like a comic about Spider-Man and a toy about Batman, and I like to collect that because I love the brand. So it's easier to do that in a digital space when we can use technology like augmented reality technology or virtual reality. And that sense of scarcity, we can use that using the blockchain. So they're scarce. It's a great product. And you have that sense of collecting, like, oh, I'm the only one that has one of the 1,000 Batmans. Only 1,000 people in the world can collect this. So it's about that, my guess. And drama about the payout and things like that. I mean, I think the product is so good that they're starting now. They are a startup still, and they have a lot of road to continue walking. So there's a lot of this is just starting out. So I think people is impatient because the product is so good and they want more things. They want it fast. They want it right now. Like we're used to that, social media and things like that. But I think that's the important thing, the vision about making the collecting, physical collecting, into a digital collecting, like a reality using blockchain technology.
Kyle, gonna go?
Well said, Delargo. And for me too, Veve is a literal digital collectible renaissance, right, in 3D premium format with augmented reality. So there's a lot of different aspects to Veve that maybe people don't see just right off the bat. As they're working on the Veveverse, which is going to be even building upon the brands and IP that they already have and building upon the augmented reality experience. So what we're seeing is, like I mentioned, just a digital renaissance of these collectibles, where now you can actually immerse yourself and actually be able to interact with these brands and different IP. Let's take, for example, the DeLorean, and you're able to open the car doors, you're able to see inside of it. And with a lot of these different types of collectibles or things of that nature. This wasn't possible before, and you weren't just able to, collect as many collectibles as you want with the limited amount of space in your house, room, or whatever. Especially as the world goes on and progresses, space is getting more and more limited, and homes are getting more expensive, and there's more people in the world. So with that being said, enter Veve, where now your collectibles, you don't have to worry about damaging them. You can collect them, you can store them in your showroom, still show them off, and show them to all your friends. And they're building upon that social aspect of what we're seeing already playing out on Web 2, like Twitter, for example, where it's just a 2D format, but still we're using, profile pictures, for example, to show off what we've collected. So Veve at its base
show off what we got
is playing off of human psychology, what we already know, trust, and love, and building upon that type of, collectability factor of all that. So it's cool, and we've seen a lot of other big, software, or not software companies, but Web 2 traditional companies like Reddit and Facebook use kind of that Veve terminology, digital collectibles, and that's only going to continue, I think, as we move on in forward in the space.
I love that, Kyle. Thank you so much. And I know, Randy, maybe you want to add something else?
Yeah. So those are great explanations. Just to kind of piggyback off what he was saying, I think people are really looking at Veve, and I don't know if anyone is really talking about the disruption that it's had. I mean, as Kyle's mentioned that, okay, well, now we have collectibles that can't be damaged, and it's not like collecting Pokemon cards or comic books where you have to go and store them at a certain temperature, make sure they don't sit in the sun like at all, and this way we can get as many as we want. We can throw our phone out the window, and our collectibles will be fine. But also a big thing I saw, at least in the Pokemon industry, was people's partners saying, hey, you have enough. And it wasn't even about like the money that was spent. It's like, there is not enough space in this house. You already took up one room, and they have to stop collecting. And you just don't have that with this. So I really like disruptive companies. I really like, like Lemonade back in the day for using AI for insurance. I like Tesla disrupting ride sharing systems, full self-driving, and electric vehicles. And Veve is disrupting this collecting industry, which is slated to be about $1 trillion industry by 2032. And not only that, it's a lot easier for big money to come in when you have Disney and when you have DC and Universal. It's hard for somebody that's running like a hedge fund, or someone that's running someone else say like, hey, have you heard of CryptoPunks? Have you heard of Bored Apes? Have you heard of these? People like 55 and older just haven't really heard of these, but everyone knows Mickey Mouse. Despite the other amazing projects out there, and that'll have their space, and history will be very kind to them in the NFT world. It's so much easier for older people to feel that sense of calm, like, okay, Mickey Mouse, Batman, Superman, that's fine. So I think you're seeing a lot of disruption with Veve.
If you guys let me add something, like I think Kyle, you said something really important, that Reddit and Starbucks or all these new brands that are entering the Web3 space, they're using the same terminology as Veve, which is digital collectibles. And it's weird that I think like there are two different worlds, the Veve community and the Web3 community, because I see no one on Web3 like talking about Veve. And the whole conversation on 2022 was like, it was even a meme, like bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. And I'm like, Veve already did that, right? So why is no one talking about that? Like, it's so easy to download the app and have your first experience with an NFT. So I don't know, I think it's a really good product, like it's too good to be true. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think that many times it's also so much easier to onboard anyone into this space with a product or with a character that we're familiar with, right? Like, and I think that's where Veve, having Disney, and perhaps there's people that still don't know about it, right? And those digital collectibles to me were like safe. Like it gives me like a perfect example or a perfect like entry point to say, hey, you know what? Check this out. to partake in collecting, right? And as simple as that. And with that, I guess my next question would be, what have you seen in the community aspect, right? Like, where does the community from Veve unite? Is it mostly on Discord? Is it more Twitter spaces? Is it, like reminiscing into why you're collecting what you're collecting? What have you seen the push from the community?
I mean, you have pockets of everyone. There's some people that prefer Discord, some people, that prefer Facebook. There's 30,000 members, I think, on Facebook, and I think a similar amount on Discord that's relatively active. But Twitter seems to be the main space. As far as being united, I would say that at any of these cons, at like Designer Con, New York Comic Con, where Marvel features Veve, which Marvel doesn't, almost never does. Like you can't pay for that spot. Like they share the booth with Marvel. So usually at these cons where people do come in from all over the world, like people coming in from Australia and Europe, or people from the US going to Europe at Designer Con in London. So that is very interesting to see. And despite having this bear market and this recession, the amount of people that show up grows with each convention. And these conventions are sometimes not easy to get into. Like Comic-Cons are notoriously hard to get tickets to. And then you have the hotel on that. And instead of buying more OMI, instead of buying more collectibles, people will opt to not do that, and they will go to these conventions to see what essentially is family at this point. So I think that's where we unite a lot.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And shout out to Wendy down below. She was one of the early OGs in the Facebook side, Facebook group, and things like that, and helped the Discord grow as well. Like Randy said, that there's pockets and communities, and it's like often we forget how active each community is in the different, like whether it's Discord, Facebook group, or Twitter, or what have you. When you go to like the designer cons, the last one was packed out. The line was, around the booth all the way back and waiting for their, collectible to be signed by one of the artists. And you really don't know until you go to one of those, in-person events how large the community is, because primarily I'm on Twitter quite a bit. And, even I forget that, shout out to Sergio and the Facebook group, how big the group is. And the Discord server, I think it's been over 100K server members as well for quite some time. So the community is very active on each platform. And it's so cool to see that because very few, platforms and people are so passionate, in every social media platform that you get to see. Even there's a few subreddits as well. So shout out to the Reddit community as well. But
to heck with the Reddit community.
It seems like every platform is quite active.
Tell me to kill myself every week.
I actually had no idea there was a Facebook community, so that's really interesting to me. That they're active in that platform, and now I know that with some of the changes that Facebook is doing, sort of adding like reels and videos, it would be interesting to see how that community partakes in that. So with your experience so far, what do you envision to see like the future of Veve and playing a role as a whole within the Web3 ecosystem? Do you see it as like, I don't know, a door to do mass adoption, to onboard people more seamlessly, or where do you see this going?
I would like that. I mean, I have like two sides on this one, because I love both the fact that this product is so good for new people, and for me personally, I would love to kind of like be able to build Web3 products, like use their ecosystem. Like they're having this metaverse, which is called the Veveverse. Like I want to build, I don't know, something in there, and like being more open to be interoperable, no sé cómo se llama. But things like that. But I think it's not that the main purpose. I think what they should focus on is still making the process easier for more people.
Veve Magic's about to speak.
I think sometimes we think like there are a lot of people interested in Web3, but probably it's like less than 1% of the whole population. So I think it's more important that instead of like accomplish these goals in the Web3 space. Like they should still focusing on onboarding people like on these 2.5 space. But those are my thoughts. Randy, go ahead.
I also think that may be the wrong question, talking about what type of thing it can be in Web3. And we could talk about that all day. But that reminds me of a TED Talk where somebody was saying everybody likes classical music, they just don't know it yet. I think that you don't need to be involved in Web3 to really like Veve or like the Veveverse. Some people will just be like, oh, it's collecting, but just collecting in a different way. And then they can go and look at it just like a video game where you just go, when the Veveverse is launched, you can go on and play with your collectibles. Like, there's a bunch of people I know that their kids take their phone just to play with the showroom. It's pretty similar to, I guess, either Roblox or Minecraft in that way, where you set up a world, or you're setting up this mini world in the showroom. So I think there's a lot of people that will enjoy it that won't necessarily know it's Web3. And like Laura said, we just keep focusing on that for a while, and then the Web3 people will come. I mean, they partner with Ready Player Me, so any other Ready Player Me avatar, like let's say if you're coming in from Earth 2 that already had Ready Player Me, you already have an avatar, so you don't have to set up. You could just come in and just and walk in the world, which I think is really cool.
That's a fair point, Randy. And to that, why don't you walk me through this? If I'm never, collected in Veve and I'm interested, what do I have to do? Am I just downloading the app on my phone? Am I going on the website? I'm just trying to get a feel for someone that perhaps this is the first time they're hearing about this, and maybe they're a little confused as to like, wait, what? I could do it this easy, but where do I go? What do I do? And what can I expect from it?
I'll let I see Veve Magic's up here. Welcome to the stage, Veve Magic. I want to hear what Veve Magic has to say about this one. I know she's really good about onboarding new users, big Disney fan. Just real quick, I want to answer what Web3 is to Veve, or Veve is to Web3. I think it's a bridge, to Web2 to Web3, just because the brands and IP and the sheer amount of brands that are on the platform, it's great for not only Web2 people to already collect what they know, trust, and love, but the same goes for Web3. All these different brands and IP, NFT platforms, ecosystems, and projects, they all try to build in lore. I see oftentimes a lot of, former Marvel comic, writers and artists in the NFT space quite often. And it goes in reverse. It's a good bridge for the two different, styles, Web2 bridging Web3 and vice versa.
Meow. Magic, meow, meow.
I love how we get like different perspectives from like Delargo and Brandy and Kyle. But now I'm super excited to meet Veve Magic and to hear, your perspective on all this, and how do you help people get on board? Because it sounds like you have the expertise.
She's got the stuff.
Hello, friends. I want to say first off, Laura, thank you so much for holding this space. I love how welcoming you are to our community, and hungry to learn more about it. And I loved hearing how you didn't just pass rash judgment based off of maybe things you saw or heard, but wanted to dig deeper. So
homies are there. Homies.
And, thank you so much for holding this space. It's
Orange bag lady.
Pleasure to meet you, and thank you for having me. So
Rebel Duck.
It's sort of Disney. I'm literally at Disneyland right now.
Oh my!
At a playground watching my kids play. And, I'm here very, very frequently. So my content is usually based on that, and a lot of what I do with my content is I want to sort of inform people that are Disney fans. So sometimes I'll try to tie things in the parks to what we have on Veve and have a connection. And maybe just by posting a video that's parks related, I get views from people that just love watching Disney parks videos. And there's people that watch live streams of people walking around shopping at Disneyland. So if I can get some of those viewers and they see this and they go, oh my gosh, what is this? I want this. That could bring eyes to the app, right? And just today, what I love about Veve is being able to have what I am so fond of in life as a Disney fan, and be able to put it in AR and make photos and videos. I mean, I just got airdropped a Mickey Mouse collectible signature today as a reward from holding a set. So I was walking through Avengers Campus. I ran into Spider-Man. I said, hey, can I take a picture of you with my digital collectible? And he, of course, has no idea what I'm talking about. And I post it, I picture it next to him, and I sort of direct him. And afterwards, I show him the picture, and he goes, oh, that's so cool. And what I find a lot is people just still don't know. Like, Disney is such a huge wide audience, but they just don't understand Web3. They don't understand digital collectibles, NFTs. But the fandom is so massive and so insane, and they're such huge collectors. And so part of my goal is to sort of bridge the gap and help them understand what these are and what they can do and the future of where, you know, collecting is going. And I think if people understand it, it's just, and once they understand it, it's just a message coming in, because, you know, where else can you find premium licensed collectibles that don't deteriorate, that you can take with you wherever you want, that you can play? I mean, one of my favorite videos is a Black Panther animated NFT next to Black Panther in person. And you almost can't, I had needed him just a little bit bigger, but you can't tell which is which. And that is so cool and so fun. And that's one of my favorite videos I've ever done. And I can bring this stuff with me every time I'm here and play with it. My kids love playing with it. Other Disney fans, they see it and they love it. It's just about
I could listen to her talk all day.
Knowledge. But, you know, what I love about Veve is it's so easy. I don't understand crypto, don't understand NFTs. I'm terrified of OpenSea. I am involved in other projects, but it terrifies me still. Veve is so, you're in there, you can use regular money. It's simple transactions and so user-friendly, and that is what made me stay. I'm not scared. Yes, there's bumps in the road, but I believe in the team. I go to all the in-person events. I love the team. They're so knowledgeable, so passionate. The connections are unreal. And so I just, I love this platform, and it's been such a fun ride, and our community is amazing. Great people.
I could listen to her talk.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for your kind words too. I like doing things like this because I feel like this is where you get the real deal, right? Like this is where you hear from the community. This is where you kind of understand where people are coming from. And I do believe that this is not a problem that is just with Veve. I think it's a problem through so many, I don't know, like NFT projects in general, like explaining digital collectibles, right? Like as soon as someone hears digital collectible that has never heard about anything of Web3 space, it sounds like, what? You're going to buy a photo. Okay, cool. Like you have a lot of problems. And then, so I totally get it where you're like, wait, people don't know.
You have a lot
still
of problems.
Don't know. And I get it. So many times at least when I'm onboarding newcomers, then I have to kind of do the way, well, it comes with utility, right? And then little by little, then I could ease them into, well, there's one-on-one art, and you could just collect art because it's art, and you like it, and you want to collect it. So with a brand like Disney, I think it becomes a little bit easier, but I think there's still room for that. What does it give me? Right? And do you have some use cases where it comes with some sort of utility, or it's just plain collectibles? Even though now you're mentioning also IRL events. So I'm curious about that part too, and anyone could jump in.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Kyle, did you want to go?
Go ahead.
So utility is something we're still working on. So, you know, Veve has a ton of licenses, and they have to work with their partners, right, on what the partners are comfortable with in terms of utility and drops and all that sort of stuff. So it's also, because this space is so new, it's also an education for the licensors. You know, this is Disney's first dip into NFTs and crypto, and they're still understanding. But that's one thing that I believe in myself, is because there's so much utility that I get at the parks by having an annual pass. I get discounts, I get free parking, I get, you know, certain dates that have special events. I have, you know, I can buy certain things that then I can get a popcorn bucket, and then for 2 months I get, you know, this utility of only paying $1 for refills. So like the utility, like they already understand that. but not in this space. So there needs to be education to some of the licensors. Other ones, like the artists, we have some artists that do great airdrops, are all on board. They want to, really vibe with the community. They show up to these events, like our designer cons, and they hang out with us, and that's utility, in my opinion, to meet some of these incredible artists. But the bigger companies, they need a little bit of legwork. They need a little bit of hand holding. So, it's in the beginning phases, but I think it's going to grow. But the community also, we provide our own utility. I'm trying to organize a trip for anybody that holds this full set of a certain Disney collectible. I want to take them to Disneyland because I know it like the back of my hand. I'm here every week. I want to provide sort of a catered service of, I will show you the parks through my eyes, and you get to experience Disney in a way that you never have. There's lots of community meetups. We all get together. I'm in a group of Southern California
Disney
residents.
Plus, yes.
We're all planning, like, let's go on a hike together, or like, let's go to the comic book store because, this new Disney comic book is about to drop. So let's go get our comics together, and then let's go grab lunch and have drinks. So there's also a lot of community-driven utility, which I'm a huge proponent of, because that also gets licensors' eyes. And the more that they see that, and the more that they understand the value proposition of that and how it creates more value for their collectibles.
I want to hear from On My Way
the
to
easier it's going to be
fill your
to
bags.
get them on board and in sync with where we're going with this next generation of Web3.
All I'm going to say is that I saw you were in Orlando and that you were really close by. So I was having the biggest FOMO already. I'm like, I should go to Orlando and I'm going to see Disney through her eyes. And then you're like, Southern California. I was like, what? No.
Hey, I may be there in March, though. I might be there in March, so we can meet up then.
Perfect. We're going to plan it. And you know what? I really do believe that the game-changing part of a lot of this, collecting aspect, regardless of where you collect, NFTs or in what platform you use, is the community. And for many, unless you're a part of it, you don't get it. Like, you're buying into this whole ecosystem, and that's what makes it that much more worthwhile and that much more exciting. Even though you're collecting something, obviously, because you chose to and because you enjoy it and you want to collect it, I think the community aspect is never to be taken, lightly. I think it's what keeps everyone else going, and where you really get to brainstorm to say, hey, how can we move this forward? Kyle or Randy, I don't know who wanted to add something before.
I think Kyle.
Just to piggyback off of what VP Magic was saying in terms of utility. I think one of the original utilities was via the Disney Golden Moments, which was the
Preach, Kyle. Preach.
1 year of what was it again? Disney Plus for a year. If you got the golden Mickey and Walt statue called the partner statue. And then a few other the golden items as well that were dropped in that specific collection. So that one was a really cool drop to participate in, and that's when a lot of growth happened around that time as well. And there's the Veve Golden logo that they're looking at adding even more utility to that, which in terms of Veve too, they have to be careful with the big brands and IP they have. And like VP Magic was saying, it's like navigating the space and what's legally possible, as with how NFTs are perceived by, the legislators and things like that. So, I think as time continues, we'll notice more utility and things like that being added in the Veveverse. I think that's going to be quite obvious as well when they roll out the Veveverse, and they have plans to have, the tools for creators to build things in the Veveverse as well. And the OMI utility inside the Veveverse itself, where token holders can have probably some utility in there as we get more information when that comes out too. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm excited for the future.
I would like to add something about the utility part. The vision of the team, and I would like to bring this argument again. It's about bringing collecting into the digital space. And things like utility are things that we saw.
Oracle,
that's
not guaranteed though, I think. Is it? Let me know. It's the posters, right?
The bodies, the ape token, like airdrop. things like that. So as I think 0.5% of the people in Veve come from a crypto background, as they discovered the OMI token and they enter Veve and they stay for the collectibles, which I'm one of them. And the other part are people that are non-Web3 people, people that don't know about crypto and things like that. So part of the community of Veve, it's a very crypto-oriented. We have these community spaces with the founders, and they are requesting that utility. And in the first year, that wasn't even the goal, to bring utility. I mean, the utility is that you have the collectibles, the toy, the thing you love. So
Magic's got something to say.
It's funny or very cool to see how all this is developing, from a business perspective. The founders have to deal with, not dealing, it's a problem, but which way they have to go, their vision, or they have to adapt to this Web3 vision and things like that. But I wanted to say that.
Thank you, Delgado. And one of the other things that I know that some of you probably saw, and what I mentioned earlier in the conversation is I saw that there was an issue with the payment, and that the payment providers, they were pending closure. So what happened with that? And I don't know who could tell us that perhaps has a little bit more information on
this
that.
Is a big.
And why did people start panicking? Because I know how with social media, there is news about something, and then it could just travel very quickly instead of wait, listen to what's really happening. So I'm just curious to know if any of you could speak a little bit on that.
I can clarify on that a bit. But I know
Magic. Welcome.
Go ahead, on my way. You go first, and then I'll follow up.
Hey, Laura, thanks for having this space to get more information. Greatly appreciate it, especially since you're not just coming from, a standpoint of just speculation and FUD. So what happened was, out of the blue earlier this week, the Wire platform, which is our current processor, decided to go down and scale back.
Decided to go. They're done.
For the Wire Foundation itself, they had no idea that this was happening either. But it technically doesn't have anything to do with Veve.
Yeah.
Veve had no idea, and now we are currently looking for a new processor.
Nobody had any idea.
Go through this payout. Hopefully it will be sooner rather than later, but we don't have a set date on that implementation yet. But we'll keep everyone posted once we get more information on that.
Yeah. Yep.
But your funds are safe.
Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, for sure. I was my style, I think I would have probably way more followers if I was more controversial, or if I was just trying to FUD everything or just create noise. But I'd rather have quality over quantity. And I stand by that, right? So when I see any sort of news, I'm more of okay, let's find out what this is about, and let's get the full picture. Because at the end of the day, God forbid, the day something happens with me or a platform that I'm working on or whatnot, I would like the same respect, right? I would like people to ask me instead of just making assumptions or repeating. Many times, as humans, we messed up and we just kind of repeat whatever someone else says. And it's oh yeah, did you hear about this? And then it's you have no idea what you're talking about, but you're just going to go ahead and continue to spread the fire. And it's let me just do a little bit more of a responsible way to find out a little bit more. And go ahead.
I love that, and I respect that so much. And I commend Veve because they attacked the situation head on, and they made sure to notify the community and make them aware that they were on top of it and it was under control. And so props to them. So I need to step down so I can get back to my Disney day, but I didn't want to just be rude and dip. And I just wanted to say one other thing to what Kyle was talking about earlier. About the Veve logo and the utility behind that. And one thing I really love about the founders and team is that they try to and do lead by example, and they do a great job of that. And now this is somewhat speculation on my part, but I believe part of the reason that they created these logos and are striving towards utility tied to these logos is to lead by example, to take that as, you know, proof of concept to the licensors and say, look what this does, and look how the community responds to this, and look how it creates and adds value to a collectible. And the more that we can do this, and the more that you can add value to your IP and what you're providing us, the more valuable your digital collectibles will become. So that's my belief. I don't have concrete evidence, but that's how I feel. And you know, I believe so much in this leadership team, and they are really working around the clock, doing the best job they can, and they love it. They're super passionate about it, and that's something that I can really get behind. Is every time I've been around them, I just see their drive and passion, calm confidence, wisdom, you name it, it's there. And they're fans. They love the IP. They're fans of every single thing they put out. So much so. I mean, the physical collection that David, you, our CEO, has is, he has warehouses, okay? Like, the man knows his stuff. And so I respect that, and he knows what he's doing. So, yeah, with that, I need to step down. But thank you so much for having me up to share my love. And it was a pleasure. And again, thank you so much for holding this space. Really appreciate it. And it was wonderful speaking with you guys.
Bye, Magic. Love you.
Bye.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you for. I can't believe you were on the space while on Disney. So thank you. I feel very flattered that you created this time for us. So go have fun with the little ones and
DJ and life.
DJ life for sure. I was like, I've been in random places and hosting spaces, so I feel you on that one. One of the things that maybe some of you might not know. Back in February, I hosted for the Batman, for DC Batgirls, one of the spaces, and that was really cool. And it was one of, like, not that it wasn't the first one that I collected, because I had collected before, but it was the first time that I hosted a space for someone in the community. So it's really cool to see how, you know, a whole year almost have gone by. And then for other people that are curious, whenever I do sponsored Twitter spaces, I clearly state that they're sponsored and I post them. This is not a sponsored Twitter space. This was me out of curiosity reaching out to them. Not that there's anything wrong with sponsorships. I really do appreciate sponsorships, and I think that they are the ones that continue to fuel many in this space that are doing a job, because at the end of the day, we're taking our time out of our day to do this responsibly. And I do appreciate them, but I also believe that there should be transparency whenever you're doing something and getting paid, or if you're doing something because you chose to. Yeah. And with that being said, I was addressing that because I got like a random message and it's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I was like, you would know if someone's paying me or not. This is not just, you know, random. But now that I did my commercial break, I should probably say if you can retweet the room, I would really appreciate it. And license IP, if you want to add something, this is your time.
Thank you. And real quick, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Veve Magic. For those who don't know, I know it's not in her Twitter handle, but she is a Discord Clubhouse moderator for Veve Official. So if you guys do have any questions, need any help or support, please don't hesitate to reach out to her or myself, and we'll do the very best that we can to help you with any problems that you're having with Veve or Ecomi. But as I digress, I just wanted to also throw in there that there's one thing that people have to realize about Veve is it is not a project or a collection. It is a marketplace, very similar to Magic Eden,
kind of a little bit of both,
X2Y2, like OpenSea, Rarible. So that's something that people need to keep in mind. I know that there has been a lot of talk that, you know, Veve isn't doing the best in the Web3 space, but we have to take a step back and just remember that it's not a project. It's not a, you know, Bored Ape Yacht Club or a Mutant or a Moonbird or a Proof Pass. it's a whole marketplace. So we have to take your perspective and just switch it a little bit when we're thinking about what Veve actually is. And I think that they're making massive strides in this Web3 space to onboard the everyday common user who doesn't know about or care about Web3 overall. I think that's pretty important to just to say.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add what you said earlier about Wire, since I'm not a mod or anything like that. Don't work for Veve. Wire's been in the space for a while. I think 6 months or plus, and they had full integrations with like MetaMask, BNB, and many other platforms and blockchains and ecosystems. So a lot of you may have heard of MoonPay. It's very similar or like exactly same as MoonPay in terms of how. Basically being a fiat on-ramp. And so Wire, which was Veve's payment processor, is the one that kind of went belly up. And we are, to note, in the middle of crypto winter. So, a lot of those, third-party services aren't related or, wasn't caused by Veve, right? It's unfortunately something that was out of Veve's control, and it'd be like if MoonPay, went out of business all of a sudden, then a lot of these different ecosystems would essentially lose kind of that fiat onboarding process and things like that. So unfortunately that happened, but with Veve, they can obviously choose other payment processors to get back up and running, which they, have said, I think addressed in a tweet that they already are looking at other options. So I don't think this, as a big, flood moment for Veve, just because before they didn't even have a payment processor. And I think most people have already kind of cashed out that wanted to cash out at this time. And, I think they'll be up and running soon again. And,
Don't say soon.
If people want to cash out, they can cash out then. It is a minor setback. I'm not going to not acknowledge that. But at the same time, I think in the grand scheme of things, when the market comes back and there's more longevity in the space and platforms, are able to generate, revenue and become healthy companies like a MoonPay, for example, then I think, we have less worry to worry about in these types of situations long term.
Yeah, the as far as fiat on ramp or off ramping goes, that should not take long at all. I'm sure they'll announce who they're partnering with within the next week or two. It's just that crypto on ramp and off ramp will be difficult because Wire being run by Circle, and Circle being invested in by Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, and Silvergate, and that both Silvergate and Gemini both have to pay back quite a bit of money, about $2 billion and $1 billion respectively by January 8th. And if they don't, Circle could go down. So I don't want this to like FUD here. I'm just saying, like, as far as crypto on ramp and off ramp for any project in the Web3 space, at least in the US, that may take quite a while. But fiat on and off ramp, that'll be no problem. That'll be done fairly quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately, this contagion had reached pretty far and wide, as many of you know. So it's kind of one of those unfortunate things. But I think bull market, and as we move forward, and there's healthier platforms out there already. So I think this is kind of like a minor setback, and long term will probably be forgot about. Maybe not Wire totally, but yeah.
Many people have short memories here in the space. There's like yesterday's news. It's like, wait, what? That was just yesterday. So I understand what you're saying. I would love to open the floor for anyone that has any questions. You could feel free to request now. It would be a time to, utilize that we have so many from the Veve community. Maybe something that is not clarified or something that you want to add. I would love to have you. And I just brought up Buck. How are you, Buck?
Who Buck? Buck? It's Buck. I don't see a Buck. Who's Buck? Who the heck's Buck?
Can you hear me? Or I see you are muted, but I can't hear you.
I don't see a Buck.
I don't see him as a speaker.
Yeah, I don't see a Buck.
I think he got rugged. I think he got rugged.
Rip.
But I could jump in with another question. Or if there's anything that we haven't discussed just yet that you all want to add, perhaps like what has been like personally, and I know this is a very personal question, but I always think it's a fun question to know what you really enjoy collecting.
I like comics a lot, because you actually can read them, and to read them it's like a great experience. I remember one Friday night, I didn't hang out with friends. I just stayed at home, and I had a glass of wine, and I was I was just into Veve because of the flipping of the NFTs, but I said this comic is really expensive. Let me actually read it. And I put the comic in augmented reality, and I position it, and the comic in a way that it was really so easy to read it. It was almost better than to read that than to read a real one, because I can zoom in so easy to what the characters were saying. The image, I just I was moving my phone closer to the image, and I was having all the details. So I like the comics a lot, because I at that time I said no more comics for me, physical comics, no more.
That's cool. I like that. And then, okay, so license ID. I never know what to call you. I'm sorry. What can I call you?
Oh, sorry.
We usually call him on my way.
On my way. Okay, because I was like OMWT. I was like, I don't know what to call you.
By the way, he's I love On My Way. By the way, I met him in person at DCon. Amazing human, always in space. Anyways, yeah, I'll stop shilling you On My Way if you want to take it away.
Yeah, it also stands for On My Way to Fill Your Bags, not what other people might think it means. Just throwing that out there.
Thank you for the kind words, Kyle, and thank you for the clarification, Randy. I really appreciate that. So for me personally, it's the Disney brand. I like the golden moments personally. I just grew up on Disney, and it's hard to not like Disney. So that's just me, not financial advice, of course, but I just think that this golden moments set that has released, and they said it is done, might be impactful in the next 15, 20 years for my kids and grandkids as this Web3 space starts to develop. I was just curious, what is your favorite collection? And if you can give us a little backstory about your Veve journey.
Huh.
But I know we have other hands as well.
Was he talking to me?
Yes. I
no.
want to say that I collected a few of the Disney ones. I was actually trying to, for some reason, I was like, how the apps get removed from your phone, or they go in the cloud or whatever. And I was trying to open now, and I couldn't open it. So I wanted to check what was the first one. Especially for this space, I wanted to be ready. I want to know the first one that I collected, because I know for sure it was Disney. And then I got the Coca-Cola one, the polar bear one.
Oh, nice, polar bear.
I have the DC backbone, and I think that's it. I don't think I have many. I know that my boyfriend collected a few more, but those are the ones that I could think at the top of my head. But I was trying, for some reason, I don't have the access right now to open it up, and I was trying to figure that out, but I haven't. So just being fully transparent. But when I have it, then I was actually looking through my tweets too, because I remember me posting about them maybe a year ago or in February about whatever I was purchasing. So I probably have some pictures in my media, but I would have to scroll down forever. So, but I'll find it, and then maybe I'll pin it up here, or I'll just retweet it. And I brought here Battle of the Bones. How are you guys? How you doing?
Who beat this battle?
Doing good. I have to admit, I've been waiting for this space to happen for so long, because I de-risked, like a lot of people were saying, they felt like it was safer to bet on these, legacy brands, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, etc. And with my money, I de-risked that way, but with my time, I'm building an NFT project. So, and I've always been a long-term collector. So for me, yes, Golden Moments is the right one to go with, but within Golden Moments, and this, a lot of people are not going to like it.
Yeah, Walt.
The Disney D. I think it's better than the Walt. I think there's a reason why they airdropped it. I think there's a reason why they ended with it. This. But that's the one I've been stacking. I just continue to stack golden moments. They're really, to me, Disney has the most leverage when it comes to adding utility if they choose so.
I'm so curious.
Being a long-term collector, Pokemon cards, action figures, comic books, the first of the first, it doesn't matter if it has utility. It really doesn't. Like, what's going to matter is any other Disney gold and silver, whatever moments they want to create. Those will need utility to combat with the first. But yeah, that's my piece. That's my piece.
I'm so curious about why you're choosing the D. I have the D, and I like it. I have that set, but I'm curious on your reasons why. Like, if you could specify a bit more.
So when it comes to giving utility and unlocking,
pump my bags.
Unlocking different, whether it's in the Veveverse or in the actual parks, just unlocking experiences. I feel like all the other pieces are kind of skewed. Even the Walt piece is skewed, but the Disney D captures not only the old original Disney, like Mickey, but it also captures the new brands that they've purchased throughout the years, like Marvel, Star Wars. Like R2D2 Golden Moment. Sure, it's only if they're going to give it value and utility, it's going to be Star Wars focused. I feel like Disney D can get you anywhere, and really what they can do with it is so much. It's up to them because it really does capture the whole brand, and it's the damn logo. I mean, that's as old as Walt, So that's the reason why I go that way, and it's gold. I mean, come on, you can't beat gold.
So I'll just list a couple of my favorites, but they're two old brands that have been around almost as long as Disney. One of them, I don't know, I'm not sure if it is older than Disney, but Marvel and DC are some of my favorite brands. And, you talk about Spider-Man, the first appearance of Spider-Man on the blockchain. That's massive, the most popular superhero in the world. That's a great piece. Now it's pretty expensive, so not for everybody, but there is different rarities and things like that. My actual favorite, though, is Batman. That's what actually brought me to Veve. I always bring it up in spaces and things like that. When I was a kid, I collected a lot of Batman figurines, watched literally all the cartoons, all the episodes, and that's what got me back into the YouTube game and content creation as well. So I owe a lot of that to Batman and DC. So I own a Bat Cow, but the first Batman on the blockchain, the Todd McFarlane Batman, I own two of those, and one of my favorite collectibles of all time. And that set is I think long run will be one of the most interesting sets. And the Todd McFarlane has a little backstory. There's a few layers, not only being the first DC NFT and not only the first Batman on the blockchain, but Dan Crothers, the co-founder of Veve, played a part in actually sculpting that collectible, had actual hand in that collectible. And it's like one of the few collections and sets on the app that was dropped in the year of 2020 via the Veve app, of course. And so, yeah, there's a lot of history with that set and that Batman. So that's one of my favorites. If I could, I would hold a lot more Todds, but we do have a few famous people in the community that bought like 50 or 100 and things like that. And so it does have a significant fan base. And I think lends a little bit of credit to, or, a lot of the Bat Cows were big early on in Veve as well. So, including myself. So I just wanted to point that out.
Kyle, do you think the Spidey SR is the first Disney IP dropped? Because Marvel and all. I was lucky to get on the drop, and it is one of my favorite pieces.
Depends how you look at it.
Yeah, so some people like to kind of throw in the Ultraman secret rare cover, but technically it doesn't have the Marvel or Disney tag or anything like that. It's the Subaraya, I believe is what it was called, or the brand that owns Ultraman. So technically, yes, it's the first Marvel NFT on the app. And Secret Rare Spider-Man is also animated, so it's the first animated Marvel NFT as well.
And I found one of my first posts, and it was December 2021. So it was the Coca-Cola one, and I totally forgot about it.
Nice.
So, you see, I have it. I have proof, guys. And I was listening, so I was multitasking.
Love it.
I could do it.
Hey, if you need any help, sorry, if you need any help with your account, just shoot me a DM, and I'll help as much as possible.
Yeah, on my way. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Randy, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else of some of your favorite collections, or if anybody else before we close off. I know that we've been here for an hour now, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time and appreciate it that you guys were so willing to host with me this space today and to answer all the questions and to really bring on a little bit more knowledge or awareness in what the application has been doing with so many different brands and kind of like kill the speculation or to clarify at the end of the day. I think being able to have conversations when things are not perfect and yet say, hey, this is the highs and the lows of what's happening, I think is very responsible. And to me, it's like, hey, let's normalize things and let's address issues that we might be having and things that, society could exaggerate. So good to hear from everyone here. I also brought on Veve Inu. Hi.
Hi, Veve Inu. Are they here?
I don't know. I keep on bringing people up, and then somehow they're rushed or they can't hear me.
Hello, do you listen me?
Oh, yes, I listen to you. Yes.
Okay. Veve is one of best apps, but the devs suck ass.
Oh my God.
Devs we can get on this application. The idiots, especially Alex.
Oh my God. Okay, you're really nice, and I would love to not be that nice to everyone, but right now, yeah, I don't curse at people in my spaces. You could open your own spaces. This is why you get to have Twitter spaces if you want to. But with all due respect, I'm like, if you ever have joined any of my spaces, I'm not down to be cursing at anyone out. If there is a bad or great dev, that's totally doable, and you can still be respectful without being rude to people. So yeah, so thank you for your opinion, just not very welcome in the capacity that you're doing it. I think I could say that someone is not very good about what they're doing with a little bit more respect. So thank you, but no thank you. And on my way.
I just have one last question for you. Thank you for hosting the space and giving us the time.
I
So
knew when that person had like 70 followers.
Why do you think
Probably wasn't.
a lot of these communities don't talk about Veve? I'm just genuinely curious because
That's a good question.
In other communities as well, because there's a lot of good spaces, there's a lot of great people. The communities are very, very active and strong, but I don't hear apes, moonbirds, punks, anyone talking about Veve openly. But come to find out, through a lot of digging, there's a lot of OG whales in Veve.
I don't know. I wonder if it's because the decentralized aspect or centralized aspect of it that maybe a lot of and I could only speak from like what I see, right? Like I have no idea if this is remotely the why, but I think that because we are always preaching and talking about decentralization, and we're speaking about Web3, and then we're talking about platforms that are a little bit more centralized. So even with music, like when I think of music, I think of like One-Off, right? And it's a platform that is going to be very seamless, and they have amazing partnerships with like the Latin Grammys, and they have partnerships with this and that. But then maybe some musicians might say like, well, no, I want something that is completely decentralized, right? Like I don't want a Web2 company that is utilizing the Web3 technology. And other people are going to say, hey, this is exactly why I like it. I like it to be a little bit more secure, because not everyone is going to want to know what Web3 is. Not everyone is going to want to, learn about the blockchain or the responsibility that comes with decentralization. So maybe that could be a why. Maybe the people that are joining these big communities and are interacting more actively, maybe they're more interested in the decentralized aspect of things. But I do believe that this is still such a baby ecosystem where
you need to have options, right? And maybe I'm happy to have something decentralized, and maybe my best friend is like, hey, can you just show me something that is easy for me to collect, and that's it. Like, I don't want to crash course into what are cryptocurrencies or how to protect my seed phrase. Like, I don't want to do that. So if someone doesn't want to do that, then having this sort of options, I think, is like the way to go. And many times it's just education. We go back to the same thing. Maybe people are like, I don't see what are we going to talk about? You know, what are we going to say? Like, oh, they're collecting something else. Especially if you're into like flipping NFTs or, you know, making a profit. Maybe a platform like Veve, it could push you away in the sense of like, what are the secondary markets? Can I don't know, do a flip for 20 ETH that they're doing in some of these other communities? So those are just some speculations, but it could be.
No, that's well said. I would agree with that too. Like, you know, a lot of the macro NFT space is what I like to call that. A lot of people do like the decentralized part of it, and I think that could be a big reason why. In long term, when Veve becomes interoperable, at least that's the goal. And the GM of or the general manager of the U.S. region, I believe it is, Michael Adler, has mentioned a few times that's the end goal is interoperability. So I think more and more people will start to talk about it the closer we get kind of to that goal.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I think the Veveverse is going to be a beautiful space with the interoperability that they're going to have. So I'm looking forward to the future.
I gotta add to that. There's one big difference I've always seen. So when I stack Disney or any of these IPs or Obi-Wan Kenobi, that IP is already built out. But when you buy into something like Bored Apes, Moonbirds, or any of those NFTs that are available on OpenSea, if you really trust that team, you're betting on them to build something that can eventually be on Veve and combat these kind of big IPs. So there's something about being in the early days of an IP that you don't know whether it's going to grow or not. And I think because you're buying into safer, well-established brands, you just don't have that. It doesn't matter if I own these Disney golden moments. Disney's going to live whether I put money into it or not.
Good point.
So I think there's a big part of that keeps people away. There's something about building the community that's building something bigger instead of partaking in something that's already been built.
Fair point.
Yeah, and I mean, it could come with a combination of things. I do also believe that if there was like, I think someone left it in the comments. Sorry, someone left it in the comments like, oh, if they were to give 10%, I don't know, discount for annual passes for Disney, all of the sudden, guess what? Everyone's gonna talk about it because you have this like immediate benefit from holding an asset on the Veve platform. Besides collecting, obviously.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's one thing that I know the SEC has kind of like been probing here and there in the NFT space, so it's one of those kind of fine lines you got to walk. But we have seen things like Disney hire lawyers just specifically for Web3, and Bob Iger is the CEO once again of Web3. So if you follow Bob Iger, he was big into leading a lot of success at Disney, acquiring, you know, Lucasfilms studios and many other different, you know, brands like Marvel and things like that. But what we saw in the macro of things, Bob Iger was collecting Web3 NFTs when he stepped away from Disney, and in his meantime, he's been now he's a board or on the advisory board on Genies, which is a metaverse fashion NFT based company as well. So now that he's at Disney again, things I think will get interesting, given that their legal team can navigate the space well. So I'm definitely very excited what happens this year, especially on Veve and things like that, and what Disney does. So I am keeping a very close eye on the situation.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm really glad that we were able to have this conversation today. Once again, thank you all for joining, for coming up here, making time, and to really have this discussion. I really do think that education is power, and that many times if we just see one tweet or one message, we don't get the full picture. The same goes with a Twitter space. We're not going to get the full picture of a whole, years of work on a platform or community with one Twitter space conversation. So I encourage you to continue
the topic, to continue to find out a little bit more if this is something that gets your attention, or at least that this was helpful enough to get like the glimpse of what Veve is and what some of the members are doing and why they believe in the platform or the IP that they already are working with. So thank you again. Thank you for joining me, and I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. First Friday of the year, guys.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Thanks for hosting the space. Really appreciate you for having us on. And shout out to everyone down in the audience, all the OGs. I see a lot of Omi homies down there. I've actually met a lot of the Omi homies at DCon, so shout out to everybody, whether I met you or not. Love every one of you guys, and thanks again, Laura. I appreciate you.
Muchas gracias, Laura, por invitar. De hecho, también hay mucha gente que habla español en el espacio y nomás quiero saludarlos. Son mis homies, Maximalis.
Yeah, what he said.
Wendy, Eric Padilla, Criptoluchas y pues más raza que andaba aquí. Gracias a todos.
Thank you so much. And I was like, y sí, veo muchos de mis latinos aquí escuchando, como siempre. Así que feliz de verlos. Y si no se han unido a Latinos a Web3, me avisan por ahí. Les mando la invitación. And if anyone else would like to say anything before we close off.
Just getting started.
Well, with that, I almost spoke Spanish again. You see how my brain sometimes just like, I'm like, was I speaking English or in Spanish? I forgot. But thank you again for joining, and then I'll see you all on Monday.
Bye, guys.
I hope you can join me on Monday.
Meow.
Randy, I don't know if you were trying to say something or if you were drowning.
No, I meow. It's a long story if you haven't watched my videos.
Yeah, it's just meow outro.
How to tell that Laura hasn't watched the video? Because I'm like, wait, what was he just drowning? Or was he getting rug? But thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Oh, that was great. Accept my love. You pushed me too far away.
You, the human. My natural instincts around art go much more into like what I'm doodling, which is I care about the Smurfs.
Oh God, I forgot I was live. I forgot I was. Sorry guys. Let's go through some comments here. That was really cool. Bro has an outro. I do have an outro. John P says, "Hey Randy, I minted a number 2 Superman uncommon comic on Palm back in the day. Hi." So. Sold it at the peak before I knew about mint numbers. How much of an L was that? I don't know. I haven't really kept up much with Palm. Yeah, I haven't really kept up with it that much, so I really don't know. probably a little bit of one. Also, I'm going to play a video from Gary Vee.
Like you, the human. My natural instincts around art go much more into like what I'm doodling, which is I care about the Smurfs and Punky Brewster and Max Headroom and RoboCop and TMT. Like I like those things more than like a beautiful, you know,
70s or 80s pop culture.
I'm a pop culture.
RoboCop.
I like you, the human.
Your move, Gary Vee. Go and get that bread. Okay, I got a bunch of stuff to do for the rest of the day. I will bounce. I will catch you later. Thank you for joining. Bye, guys. Wait. Veve. Yeah, if you want to ask somebody else that would know about mint numbers for Palm, yes. Over. Bye, guys.